The secretary slid the form back across the counter instead of stamping it. She tapped the empty line once. "Your name isn't listed anymore." The school office smelled like paper towels and lemon cleaner. A bell rang somewhere behind the wall, dull and distant. My youngest stood beside me, backpack still on one shoulder, watching the woman's finger hover over the page. "It was there before," he said. "Not to her, to me." I took the form and looked down. Emergency contact information. His father's name was printed neatly at the top, bolded. Below it, a phone number I recognized, an email I didn't use. Under that, a second contact. Not me. A name I didn't know well enough to recognize on sight. "I filled this out in August," I said. My voice sounded flat, like I was reading instructions. The secretary nodded without looking up. She was already turning back to her screen. "It was updated last week." "By who?" my son asked. She smiled at him first, a practiced smile. Then she looked at me. "The primary account holder." She slid the form into a tray labeled "Processed." We stood there for a second longer than necessary. The counter was high. I could see the top of her monitor reflected in the glass behind her, but not the screen itself. My son shifted his weight and adjusted his backpack strap. "So who do I put if I get sick?" he asked. The secretary hesitated. "Just a beat." Then she reached for a pen and circled the first name. "That's who we'd call." End quote. I nodded. I folded the extra copy of the form and put it into my bag. The paper made a soft sound as it bent, too loud in that small space. On the way out, my son slowed near the trophy case. He pretended to read the plaques. His reflection followed us in the glass. "Did Dad change it?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. That was true. I didn't. At home, the house was quiet in the way it gets after everyone leaves at once. I set my keys in the bowl by the door. The bowl had a crack along the rim. I'd meant to replace it for years. I made coffee I didn't finish. The calendar chimed from the kitchen counter. A soft electronic sound, the one we'd chosen because it wasn't jarring. I wiped my hands on a towel before checking it. The notification was for later that evening. A reminder synced from his work account. "Dinner bring wife." No name. Just the word. I stared at it until the screen dimmed. The towel was still in my hands. I folded it, unfolded it, then hung it back on the oven handle. The coffee had gone untouched. I poured it out and rinsed the mug. The sink gurgled. When he came home that night, he loosened his tie in the doorway. He didn't look tired. He didn't look rushed. He kissed the top of my head the way he always had, already reaching for his phone. "Busy day?" I asked. "Productive," he said. He scrolled. "Did you get the school email?" I paused. "What email?" "Oh," he stopped scrolling. "Just for a second. They updated some contact stuff. Nothing important." I waited. He didn't add anything. At dinner, he talked about a promotion track he hadn't mentioned before. He spoke in timelines, end of quarter, review cycle, relocation options. He cut his chicken carefully, the knife scraping the plate once. "You'd like the people," he said. "Very efficient." I watched the way his fork moved. He didn't look at me when he said it. After we ate, he cleared his plate and left mine. That had been our routine for years. I rinsed the dishes and set them in the rack. The calendar chimed again. He glanced at it. "Oh," he said, "tomorrow night I'll be late." "For what?" I asked. He shrugged. "Dinner." I dried my hands and turned off the light over the sink. The kitchen went dim except for the glow of the screen on the counter. The notification was gone now. The next morning, I drove to his office to drop off a folder he'd left on the table. I parked in the visitor section because my pass still worked there. The lobby smelled like new carpet. A security desk stood between the doors and the elevators. I stepped forward and scanned my badge. The screen blinked yellow. "Just a moment," the guard said. He held up one finger and reached for his phone. I waited. The folder was tucked under my arm. My name was embossed on it, faint but visible if you knew where to look. An assistant came down the stairs a minute later. She smiled when she saw me. It was quick. Then she looked at the screen. "I'll take that," she said, gesturing to the folder. "He's in a meeting." "I can go up," I said. She shook her head. "Not today." The guard stepped back. The scanner reset to green behind me. On the drive home, my phone buzzed. A message from the school. Please confirm updated pickup authorization. I pulled over before opening it. At home again, the house felt larger. I sat at the table with the folder still under my arm. The chair across from me was empty. I could see the calendar from where I sat. It was quiet. No chime. I opened the school email. The list was short. Names in a neat column. Mine wasn't there. I didn't reply. I folded the folder and placed it back by the door. Then I sat and waited, not sure for what, only that something had already been decided without me being there. The calendar chimed again at 6:15 the next morning. Same soft sound, same tone we'd agreed on years ago because it didn't startle the kids. I was already awake. I lay still for a moment, listening to the house settle. Pipes clicked somewhere behind the walls. A car passed outside, tires brushing the curb. When I stood, the floorboard near the bed creaked. It always had. He used to step over it. In the kitchen, I poured cereal into 2 bowls. Habit. I stared at them before sliding one back into the cabinet, still full. The calendar sat on the counter, screen dark. I tapped it awake. Today's schedule scrolled by in blocks of color. Meetings, travel time, dinner, no names, just roles. The kids came in one at a time, shoes on, jackets half-zipped. My oldest checked the fridge without opening it, then leaned against the counter. "Dad already left?" he asked. "Yes," I said. He nodded, like that confirmed something. He picked up his phone and started scrolling. At the bus stop, a neighbor waved. She asked how my husband was liking the new role. She said it loudly, like it was shared news. The kids stood just far enough away to pretend not to listen. "He's busy," I said. "That's how you know it's good," she replied. The bus arrived. Doors hissed open. The kids climbed on. My youngest looked back once before taking a seat. He raised his hand, then dropped it. At home, I opened my laptop. The inbox loaded slowly. A message from the school sat at the top, still unread. Below it, a forwarded email from his work account. Subject: Seating and attendance. Q4, strategy dinner. I opened it. A chart filled the screen, names arranged around a table, titles in smaller font beneath them. I scanned the list once, then again, slower. His name was there. Bold. Center left. Mine wasn't. I scrolled down. A footer note read, "Spouses attending, please confirm dietary needs. No field to fill, no reply requested." I closed the laptop without responding. Later that morning, I drove back toward his office. Not to go in, just past it. I took the long route to the grocery store instead. The building rose behind the trees, glass catching the light. I remembered when we'd first toured it together. The lobby had smelled like paint then. He'd held the brochure open with one finger, pointing out where his office might be. At the store, I ran into one of his colleagues near the produce section. She smiled when she saw me. Then she hesitated. "Oh," she said, "I didn't realize." She stopped, adjusted her grip on a bag of apples. "Are you coming to the dinner tomorrow?" "I don't think so," I said. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. Not surprise, something closer to recalculation. "Oh," she said again. "Right, of course." She smiled, smaller this time, and pushed her cart away. At checkout, my phone buzzed. A notification from the school portal. Pickup authorization pending confirmation. I paid without looking at it. In the afternoon, I sat at the kitchen table with the mail spread out. Utility bill. Credit card statement. A folded notice from his benefits provider. I hadn't opened that one yet. The calendar chimed. A reminder for him, synced to the shared device. Travel depart, 7 p.m. I checked the date. Tomorrow. He came home earlier than expected. His coat stayed on. He checked his watch before sitting down. "Quick question," he said. "Did you change anything with the kids' school contacts?" "No," I said. He nodded once, like he'd expected that answer. "Okay. HR just flagged something. Probably a sync issue." He stood before I could respond. "Also," he added, "about tomorrow night." I waited. "It's mostly internal. You wouldn't enjoy it." He said it gently. Like a courtesy. "I see," I said. He smiled, reached for his phone. "We'll do something soon." That evening, I helped with homework, spelling words. Math problems. My youngest spelled my name wrong and laughed when he noticed. "Mom," he said, "why doesn't your email show up anymore?" "Where?" I asked. "On the school app," he said. He turned the tablet toward me. "It only shows Dad's." I looked. The screen was bright. His father's name sat at the top, under Primary Guardian. A drop-down arrow pointed down. No secondary listed. "They must be updating things," I said. He nodded, satisfied for now, and went back to his work. After they went to bed, I opened the benefits notice. The paper was thick, official. My eyes went straight to the bolded line halfway down the page. Status change effective prior cycle. I read the rest more slowly. Coverage details, dependent adjustments, a signature line already filled in. Not mine. I folded the paper and slid it back into the envelope. I didn't tear it. I didn't mark it. I set it on the counter next to the calendar. That night, I lay awake listening to the same creak in the floorboard as he moved around packing. A zipper, a drawer opening and closing, the low hum of his phone alarm being set. He didn't ask if I needed anything. In the morning, the calendar chimed. Travel reminder. I watched him leave through the front window. He didn't look back. After the door closed, the house felt suspended, like it was waiting for instructions. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the school. "Please confirm updated authorization by end of day." I set the phone face down on the table. The cereal bowls were still in the cabinet, clean, unused. I rinsed one anyway and placed it in the rack. Then I sat down and waited, aware now that the waiting itself had been noticed by others long before I understood what it meant. I didn't plan to go to his office that morning. I only meant to drive the kids to school and come back. The car clock blinked 8:42 as I pulled into the drop-off lane. The line moved slowly. A crossing guard raised her hand. Parents leaned out of windows, waving lunches and permission slips. My youngest leaned forward from the back seat. "Are you coming inside today?" "No," I said. "I have things to do." That wasn't untrue. I just hadn't decided what they were yet. After drop-off, I didn't turn toward home. I followed the road past the school, then onto the highway. Traffic thinned the closer I got to downtown. His building appeared in the distance, glass and steel, reflecting the sky like it was part of it. I parked in the visitor section again. Inside, the lobby was quieter than it had been the last time. The security desk was staffed by a different guard. Younger. He nodded when I approached. I scanned my badge. The screen stayed yellow longer this time. He frowned slightly. One moment. He typed something into his computer. The keyboard clicks sounded loud in the open space. "It's just taking a second," he said without looking up. I waited. My hands rested on the counter. The folder wasn't under my arm this time. I hadn't brought anything with me. That felt deliberate, even though I hadn't planned it. Finally, the screen changed. A message appeared that I couldn't read from where I stood. "Oh," he said. "You're listed as visitor access only." "That's new," I said. He nodded, still focused on the screen. "Happens a lot when roles update." "What role?" I asked. He hesitated. "Just enough to register." "Spouse?" he said finally. "It's not an issue. I just need to call upstairs." He picked up the phone. I watched the elevator doors open and close behind him while he waited for someone to answer. People passed through the lobby without looking at me. Shoes echoed against the floor. A woman laughed somewhere near the coffee stand. An assistant came down again, the same one from before. Her hair was pulled back tightly today. She held a tablet against her chest. "Hi," she said. "What do you need?" "I wanted to go up," I said. She glanced at the guard's screen, then back at me. "He's not available." "I don't need to see him," I said. She smiled, polite but firm. "I'll take a message." I looked at her tablet. It was open to a list of names. I recognized some of them from old holiday cards. Mine wasn't there. "That won't be necessary," I said. She nodded immediately, relieved. "Okay." The guard reset the scanner behind me. The light turned green, then went dark. On the way out, I caught my reflection in the glass doors. I looked the same. Nothing about me had changed. My badge hung from my hand instead of my neck. In the car, my phone buzzed. A new email. From HR. Subject: Access Update Confirmation. I opened it. The message was brief. Automated. It thanked me for my understanding and explained that access levels were reviewed quarterly to reflect current roles and responsibilities. For questions, contact your primary employee. I didn't reply. At home, I sat at the table with my laptop open and the HR email pulled up on the screen. I read it again, slower. The words didn't change. I checked the calendar. No new notifications, just blocks of color shifting as meetings updated themselves. Around noon, someone knocked on the door. It was a courier. He held a slim envelope and a clipboard. Signature, he said. I signed without reading the name printed above the line. He handed me the envelope and left. Inside was a badge sleeve. Empty. Clear plastic. No card. I turned it over. A sticker on the back listed instructions for use and return. My name was printed at the top, small and neat. I set it next to the calendar. In the afternoon, I picked up the kids from school. The office looked different when you came in through the side entrance. Smaller, more utilitarian. The secretary glanced up when she saw me. She didn't smile this time. "Pickup authorization?" she asked. "Yes," I said. She turned the screen toward me. The list appeared again, names in a column. I scanned it once. My name was there now, but lower. Second. "Sign here," she said. I signed. The pen felt light in my hand. As we walked out, my oldest asked, "Why did she ask you that?" "They ask everyone," I said. He didn't answer. He just nodded and kept walking. At home, I opened the childcare schedule email I'd been avoiding. The attachment loaded slowly. Rows and columns, times, locations. A new name sat at the top, bold, labeled Primary Coordinator. Mine appeared further down, under Secondary Contact, smaller font. I closed the file without saving it. That evening, my phone rang. His number. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "HR mentioned you stopped by," he said. His tone was casual, observational. "I was in the area," I said. There was a pause. "Not long. Just long enough." "Things are moving fast right now," he said. "It's temporary." I waited. "You understand," he added. "I do," I said. He exhaled, relieved. "Good. We'll talk later." After the call ended, I didn't move. The house was quiet except for the dishwasher humming in the kitchen. I'd started it earlier without thinking. The calendar chimed once. A reminder cleared itself. I took the empty badge sleeve and slid it into the drawer with old manuals and spare keys. It fit neatly between them. Later, as I turned off the lights, I noticed the counter looked less crowded. Fewer papers, fewer things waiting to be addressed. The house felt organized, streamlined. In bed, I stared at the ceiling until the streetlight outside shifted and the room darkened. I thought about the HR email, the courier, the list at the school. None of it had required a conversation. That was the part I kept coming back to. In the morning, I knew there would be another form, another list, another place where my name would appear differently than it used to. And someone else would notice first. The HR email came back that afternoon, not addressed to me. I was copied. The subject line read, "Updated Seating and Attendance Final." I recognized the format immediately. Same template as before, same neutral font. I opened it without sitting down. The attachment loaded. A revised seating chart. Names shifted slightly, like furniture moved just enough to notice when you walked into a room. His name was still centered. The space beside it was filled now. Not empty. Not labeled spouse. A name. First and last. Clean. Confident. Someone I'd seen before, though I couldn't place exactly when. I scrolled down. The dietary note had been filled in. No restrictions. I closed the file and checked the recipient list. Executives, assistants, HR, communications. Not me. I stood at the counter until my coffee went cold again. Later, I drove to the school to drop off a jacket my youngest had forgotten. The office was busy, phones ringing, a printer humming behind the desk. I waited at the side, holding the jacket by its sleeve. The secretary looked up. She scanned the room, then focused on her screen again. "Name?" she asked. I gave it. She typed. Paused. then looked up at me with something that wasn't confusion, more like confirmation. "You're listed as secondary," she said. "That's fine. I just need the primary to acknowledge the drop-off." "I'm here," I said. She smiled, apologetic. "I know, it's just procedure." She printed a slip and set it aside, untouched. A woman behind me shifted impatiently. I stepped back to let her pass. The jacket felt heavier than it had before. When I got home, there was a voicemail waiting, from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Marlene from Human Resources," the voice said. "Just following up to make sure you received the access update. If you have questions, please direct them to your spouse's department liaison." Spouse's department liaison. I deleted the message without calling back. That evening, I folded laundry in the living room while the news played quietly. He wasn't home. He'd texted earlier to say he'd be late again. No reason given. The calendar didn't chime this time. It stayed dark. I folded one of his shirts carefully, smoothing the collar. I knew where the stain remover was. I'd used it for years. My phone buzzed. A text from an unfamiliar name. "Hi, this is Jenna. We met at the holiday mixer last year. I wasn't sure if you were coming to the dinner tomorrow, but I wanted to say hello." I stared at the message. No punctuation at the end. Casual, confident. I typed hello and deleted it. Then typed nothing at all. At bedtime, my oldest lingered in the doorway. "Dad's not coming home again?" he asked. "Not tonight," I said. He nodded. "Okay." He paused. "Mom?" "Yes." "Are you still coming to the conference on Friday?" "Yes," I said. He watched me for a second longer. Then he went to bed. The next morning, the school portal showed a reminder for the conference. My name was still attached to the notification. Smaller font, secondary. I printed the confirmation anyway. That afternoon, I drove past the restaurant where the dinner would be held. White tablecloths visible through the window. A banner hung discreetly near the entrance with the company logo. A valet stood outside, checking his watch. I kept driving. At home, I found an envelope tucked into the mail slot. No stamp, hand-delivered. Inside was a printed itinerary, the dinner agenda, arrival times, seating assignments. A note was clipped to the top. "Thought you might want this for context. HR." Context. I read the agenda slowly. Welcome remarks. Awards. Toast. Under guests, the name beside his appeared again, same as the seating chart. I folded the paper and placed it with the others in the drawer. That evening, he came home late. After the kids were asleep, he loosened his tie and checked his phone before looking at me. "Busy day," he said. "Yes," I said. He hesitated near the doorway. "You're quiet." "I've been quiet all day," I said. He nodded, distracted. "Tomorrow night's the dinner." "I know." He seemed relieved. "Good." He poured himself a drink and sat down. I stayed standing. "They updated the seating," he said. "It's just logistics." "I saw," I said. He looked up then. "You did?" "Yes." He waited for more. I didn't give it. After a moment, he stood. "It's late." He went to bed without another word. I turned off the lights and stood alone in the living room. The folded laundry sat untouched on the couch. The calendar remained dark. The next morning, I dropped the kids at school and went straight home. I didn't open my laptop. I didn't check my phone. At noon, the doorbell rang. It was a delivery driver. He held a garment bag. "Signature," he said. I signed. Inside the bag was a suit. Not his. A tag hung from the zipper with a name printed neatly on it. The same one from the seating chart. I checked the address. Ours. I hung the bag on the coat rack and stepped back. The house felt suddenly full, like something had arrived that didn't need to be announced. I didn't move the bag. I didn't text him. That afternoon, the school called, not for me. I saw his name flash on the caller ID through the shared app. He didn't answer. They called again. Then they called me. "Just confirming pickup for today," the secretary said. "We couldn't reach the primary." "I'll be there," I said. At pickup, the secretary handed the kids over without comment. The slip from yesterday was still on her desk, unused. As we walked out, my youngest asked, "Why do they always ask about Dad first?" I buckled him into his seat before answering. That's just how it's set up right now, I said. He nodded, absorbing that. At home, I took the garment bag down and zipped it closed again, carefully. I placed it by the door, upright. When he came home that night to change for the dinner, he stopped short when he saw it. "Oh," he said. "That got delivered here?" "Yes," I said. He checked the tag. "I'll have them fix that." He picked it up and left. The door closed behind him. The house settled again. I stood there, listening to the quiet, aware that the correction would be made quickly, just not in the places that mattered. The company dinner was already underway when the school called. I was standing at the counter rinsing apples. The water ran longer than necessary. My phone vibrated against the wood. The caller ID showed the school's main number. Not his name, not mine. I turned off the faucet before answering. "Hi," the secretary said. Her voice sounded lower than usual. "We're trying to reach the primary contact." "I'm here," I said. "Yes," she replied. "We saw that. We just need confirmation." "For what?" I asked. "There was a scheduling overlap," she said. "Aftercare closes early tonight." I glanced at the clock. "Earlier than usual." "I'll be there," I said. She paused. "Thank you. I'll note that." She hung up before I could ask who had changed the schedule. At pickup, the parking lot was fuller than usual. A staff meeting sign was taped to the glass door. Parents clustered near the curb, checking phones. Inside, the secretary didn't ask for my name. She handed me the clipboard. "Sign here," she said. My name appeared twice on the page. Once under secondary, once under authorized pickup. I signed both lines. The kids came out quietly. My oldest held his backpack in front of him instead of slinging it over his shoulder. "Dad's not coming?" he asked as we walked. "No," I said. He nodded, but didn't look convinced. At home, I set snacks on the counter and turned on the oven. Routine. Something hot always made the evening feel anchored. The calendar stayed dark. I checked my phone once. A photo notification from his work account appeared briefly on the lock screen. A crowd, glasses raised. I didn't open it. While the kids ate, my oldest watched me more than his plate. "Are you going to the conference Friday?" he asked again. "Yes," I said. He seemed relieved. He took another bite. After dinner, I helped with homework at the table. The math worksheet had a section for parent signature. I signed without hesitation. The name line was blank. No labels, just space. Later, after they were in bed, I opened the laptop. The HR email from earlier in the week still sat unanswered. A new message had been added to the thread. "Per our records, access and representation have been updated accordingly. No action needed at this time. No action needed." I closed the laptop. The door opened around 10. He came in quietly, coat still on. He smelled like cologne and something sweet. "Kids asleep?" he asked. "Yes," I said. He loosened his tie. "It went well." "I have." "That's good," I said. He nodded. They announced the expansion. He waited, like that might prompt something. I wiped the counter. There was already nothing on it. "I saw Jenna," he added. "I know," I said. He looked up. "You do?" "Yes." "How?" "The suit," I said. He frowned. "That was a mistake." "I know," I said. He watched me carefully now. "You're being very calm." "I'm tired," I said. He considered that. "It's just a phase," he said. "Things settle." I didn't answer. He checked his phone again. "I'll be traveling more," I assumed, I said. He seemed relieved by that, too. That night, I slept lightly. When I woke, the house was quiet in a way that felt deliberate. His side of the closet was neater than usual, a gap where a jacket had been. In the morning, the calendar chimed. A new notification appeared. School conference, 3 p.m. No name attached. I printed the reminder and slipped it into my bag. At school that afternoon, the conference room was already set up. Small table, 3 chairs, a stack of folders in the center. The teacher smiled when she saw me. "Thanks for coming," she said. I sat. The chair scraped softly against the floor. The administrator entered last. She glanced at her clipboard, then at me. "We're waiting for the primary," she said. "I'm here," I said. She hesitated. The teacher looked down at her notes. "Oh," the administrator said. Right, of course. It's not every 3 days. She sat anyway. The conference began. Grades, behavior, participation, the usual markers. Halfway through, the door opened. He stepped in, phone still in his hand. Sorry, he said. Meeting ran long. The administrator stood immediately. We'll just need a moment, she said. She checked her clipboard again, then looked at him. Actually, she said, it looks like you're no longer listed as the primary contact for this student. The room went still. He blinked. What? She turned the clipboard toward him. The update came through this morning. I watched his face as he read, confusion first, then something tighter. He looked at me. I didn't move. Oh, he said quietly. The teacher cleared her throat. Shall we continue? The administrator nodded. Yes, let's proceed. They addressed me after that. Questions directed my way. Forms slid toward me. He sat back in his chair. He didn't interrupt. When the conference ended, the administrator smiled politely. We'll follow up with any additional paperwork. I gathered my bag. In the hallway, he walked beside me without speaking. Parents passed us, voices low. Outside, he stopped. When did that change? This morning, I said. By who? I don't know, I said. That was true. At home, the kids went to their rooms. He stood in the kitchen, staring at the calendar. It doesn't make sense, he said. It does, I said. He looked at me then. Really looked. You didn't tell me, he said. You didn't ask, I said. The calendar chimed softly. Another reminder cleared itself. He reached out, then stopped. I need to make a call, he said. I know, I said. He left the room. I sat at the table and opened the folder from the conference. My name was printed clearly at the top of the page. No secondary label, just space. I closed it and set it aside. Outside, a car door slammed. He had gone out to make the call. The house felt quiet again. Not empty, just settled. For the first time in weeks, nothing was waiting to be corrected. He didn't come back inside right away. I heard his voice through the open kitchen window. Low, controlled. The tone he used when he thought the conversation still belonged to him. I couldn't hear the words, only the pauses, the way the silence stretched between them. I stayed at the table. The folder from the school conference sat closed in front of me. I didn't open it again. I didn't need to. After a while, the front door opened. He stepped back in, phone already back in his pocket. They said it was a clerical error, he said. They're fixing it. I nodded. Okay. He watched my face, waiting for something else. An argument. Relief. Gratitude. When none came, he moved past me toward the fridge. They shouldn't have changed it without telling us, he added. I didn't answer. He opened the fridge, then closed it again without taking anything out. Did you eat? Yes, I said. That seemed to satisfy him. He checked his watch. I have an early call tomorrow. I know, I said. He went upstairs. Later that night, I sat on the couch with my laptop open but untouched. The house was quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing outside. An email notification appeared at the corner of the screen. Subject: Updated childcare coverage. Immediate implementation. I opened it. The message was from a service we'd used for years. Same coordinator. Same logo. The tone was polite. Efficient. Due to updated authorization, please see the attached schedule effective immediately. For questions, contact the primary coordinator listed below. I scrolled. At the top of the attachment, a name appeared in bold. Not mine. Below it, a phone number. An email address I didn't recognize. My name appeared further down, under a section labeled Additional Household Contact. Smaller font, same formatting as before. I closed the attachment and opened it again, just to be sure. Nothing changed. A second email arrived seconds later. Please confirm receipt. Contract amendment attached. I didn't open the contract. Upstairs, I heard the shower turn on. Water rushed through the pipes, steady and loud. I forwarded the email to my personal account without adding a message. Then I closed the laptop. The next morning, the calendar chimed at 6. His early call. He was already dressed when I came into the kitchen. Tie straight, phone in hand. I'll be out of town tomorrow, he said, just overnight. I poured coffee. Okay. I'll arrange coverage, he added. I already saw the email, I said. He paused. Which email? The childcare update, I said. He frowned. They shouldn't have sent that to you yet. They did, I said. He took a breath. It's just logistics. I nodded. After he left, I sat with my coffee until it cooled. The calendar dimmed again. Around 10, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. Hi, the woman said. This is Claire. I'm coordinating childcare coverage going forward. Yes, I said. I just wanted to introduce myself, she continued. I'll be your primary point of contact. I waited. Of course, she added quickly. Your husband is looped in on everything. I'm sure, I said. She hesitated. I sent over the updated contract. Did you have a chance to review it? No, I said. Oh, she said. Well, if you have questions. I'll let you know, I said. Great, she replied, relieved. Looking forward to working together. The call ended. I sat at the table, phone still in my hand. The contract remained unopened on my laptop. At noon, I drove to pick up my youngest for a dentist appointment. At the front desk, the receptionist smiled brightly. Mom or guardian? She asked. Mother, I said. She typed, then frowned slightly. One moment. She turned the screen toward me. It looks like there's been an update. We just need the primary to confirm. I'm here, I said. She smiled apologetically. Of course, it's just how the system flags it. She clicked a box and handed me a clipboard. Sign here, she said. I signed. Again. On the way out, my youngest tugged my sleeve. Why do they always say that? I bent to zip his jacket. Say what? Primary, he said. I zipped it slowly. It's just a word, I said. He nodded, unconvinced. At home, the courier came again, another envelope, thicker this time. Inside was the contract amendment. I sat at the table and opened it. Pages of standard language. Dates. Terms. Responsibilities. On the final page, 2 signature lines. One was filled in, not mine. I read the date beside it. Yesterday. I folded the contract carefully and placed it back in the envelope. I didn't tear it. I didn't mark it. I set it in the drawer with the other papers. That evening, he called from the airport. Everything okay? He asked. Yes, I said. I'll be back tomorrow night, he said. Claire will handle pickup. I know, I said. He hesitated. You don't have to be involved in all the logistics anymore. It might be easier. For who? I asked. There was a pause. Short. Measured. For everyone, he said. I see, I said. When the call ended, I didn't move for a long time. The next morning, I walked the kids to school instead of driving. The air was cool. Leaves gathered along the curb. At the office, the secretary waved us through without asking for anything. She glanced at her screen, then back at me. All set, she said. As we walked out, my oldest whispered, she didn't ask this time. No, I said. That afternoon, the childcare coordinator arrived early. She stood in the doorway, clipboard tucked under her arm. Hi, she said brightly. I'll take it from here. I stepped aside. She moved through the house confidently, asking questions, opening cabinets, noting routines. She didn't look at me when she spoke, only at the list in her hand. When she left with the kids, the house felt rearranged, not empty, just reassigned. I sat at the table and opened my laptop again. The contract email still waited. This time, I scrolled all the way down. At the bottom of the thread, a small note appeared, time-stamped earlier that morning. Please note, secondary contact status limits decision-making authority effective immediately. I closed the laptop. Outside, a car pulled away from the curb. The sound lingered longer than it should have. I realized then that the next update wouldn't come by email. It would come from someone else, saying it out loud. The company event was held in a hotel ballroom downtown. I knew the room without seeing it. I'd been there before, years ago, when we still arrived together and left at the same time. This time, I didn't go inside. I parked across the street and sat in the car with the engine off. Through the glass doors, I could see movement. Men in dark jackets, women holding small clutches. The light inside was warmer than the street. A banner hung just inside the entrance, the company logo, clean, unassuming. I checked the time. The event had started. My phone buzzed, a message from the childcare coordinator. All set. Pickup completed. No names. No questions. I put the phone face down. After a few minutes, I stepped out of the car and crossed the street. I didn't bring a bag. I didn't check my reflection. I walked straight in. The lobby smelled like polished wood and something floral. A long table was set up near the ballroom doors with name badges arranged alphabetically. An assistant stood behind it, scanning the room. When she saw me approach, her smile appeared automatically. "Name?" she asked. I gave it. She paused. Her finger hovered over the badges. She checked the list again. "Oh," she said, "you're not on this one." "That's fine," I said. "I'm just dropping something off." Her smile held but thinned. "I'll need to check." She leaned toward a second assistant and whispered. They both looked at the list, then at me. "I'll take it," the first one said finally, extending her hand. I handed her an envelope. Inside was nothing important, just a copy of the childcare contract amendment. I hadn't opened it again since yesterday. "It's for HR," I said. She nodded. "I'll make sure it gets to them." She didn't ask who I was to him. She didn't ask why I wasn't attending. Behind her, the ballroom doors opened briefly. I saw tables, white cloths, glassware catching the light. Applause rose and fell in a wave. The doors closed again. I turned to leave. As I did, someone called my name. It was one of his colleagues, the same woman from the grocery store. She was standing near the bar, holding a glass she hadn't sipped from yet. "I didn't know you were coming," she said. "I'm not," I said. She glanced toward the ballroom doors. Then back at me. "Oh," she said. "Right." There was a pause. Not awkward, just empty. "Well," she said, clearing her throat. "It's busy in there." "I can imagine," I said. She nodded, relieved that I wasn't pressing. "Congratulations, by the way." "For what?" I asked. She hesitated. "Everything." I smiled briefly. "Thank you." She excused herself quickly, moving back toward the crowd. I stepped back outside. The night air felt cooler than I expected. As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed again. A new message. From him. "Where are you?" I didn't answer. Across the street, the ballroom doors opened again. Laughter spilled out, then applause. Louder this time. I waited until the sound faded before getting into the car. At home, the house was quiet. The coordinator had already left. The kids' shoes were lined up by the door. Backpacks hung where I'd left them. The calendar was dark. I made tea and sat at the table. I didn't turn on any lights. The room was lit only by the street lamp outside. My phone buzzed again. "HR said you dropped something off. You didn't need to come." I typed "okay" and deleted it. A few minutes later, another message. "We should talk." I set the phone down. The tea cooled untouched. Later that night, he came home, later than usual. He loosened his tie in the doorway, the same way he always had. "I didn't expect you to show up," he said. "I didn't expect to be noticed," I said. He stopped. People asked, "Who?" I asked. He didn't answer. He set his phone on the counter. The screen lit up briefly with a message preview, a name I recognized now without effort. He noticed me looking and turned it face down. "It was a formality," he said. "The seating, the introductions. It's all optics." "I know," I said. He watched me carefully. "You could have come inside." "I wasn't invited," I said. "That wasn't intentional," he replied. I waited. "They're adjusting things," he said finally, "as roles change." I nodded. He seemed unsettled by that. "You're not upset?" "I didn't say that," I said. He ran a hand through his hair. "This is temporary. 2023. "You said that before," I said. He exhaled. "You're making this bigger than it is." I stood and carried my tea to the sink. I poured it out. "I didn't make it public," I said. They did. He didn't respond. Upstairs, the kids slept. Downstairs, the house felt steady, unmoved by the day. The next morning, the school called again. This time, they didn't ask for him first. "We just wanted to confirm dismissal," the secretary said. "Yes," I said. "No changes," she replied. "Everything's updated." I hung up and sat for a moment, holding the phone. Outside, a car passed slowly. Someone was late for something. At breakfast, my oldest asked, "Did Dad win something last night?" "I don't know," I said. He nodded, accepting that. When I dropped them off, the secretary smiled at me. No clipboard, no hesitation. "All set," she said. As I walked back to the car, I realized something small had shifted. Not at home, not at his office, but in the places where other people decided who mattered. That afternoon, my phone buzzed again. An email from HR. Subject: seating clarification resolved. I didn't open it. I knew what it would say. The first thing that changed was the timing. Not the routines themselves, just the spaces between them. The child care coordinator arrived 10 minutes earlier than scheduled the next afternoon. She stood on the porch, scrolling through her phone, checking the time twice before knocking. "I like to build in a buffer," she said when I opened the door. "Traffic can be unpredictable." "That makes sense," I said. She stepped inside without waiting to be invited. Her shoes clicked against the floor as she moved toward the kitchen, already scanning the counter. "I've updated the after-school flow," she said. "Pickup, snack, homework, transport, everything streamlined." She set her clipboard down and flipped a page. "I'll need confirmation on a few things." I waited. "Medical authorization," she said. "School release. Emergency protocols." She slid a form toward me. The header listed his name. Bold. Centered. Below it, under Authorized Guardian, my name appeared. Smaller. Indented. "Sign here," she said, tapping the lower line. I signed. She watched the pen move, then nodded once, satisfied. "Great, I'll file that." At pickup, the school office was louder than usual. A substitute secretary sat behind the desk. She didn't recognize me. "Name?" she asked. I gave it. She typed. Frowned slightly. "One moment." She turned the screen toward me. The list looked familiar now. Names stacked, labels beside them. "You're authorized," she said. "We just need the primary to acknowledge dismissal today." "He's traveling," I said. She nodded sympathetically. "I'll note that." She clicked a box and handed me the clipboard. As I signed, my youngest watched her screen. He leaned closer, squinting. "Why is Dad's name bigger?" he asked. The secretary smiled awkwardly. "That's just how the system displays it." He nodded, unconvinced. "In the car," he asked again. "Does that mean he's more important?" I started the engine. "No," I said. "It just means someone typed it that way." He thought about that. Then he looked out the window. At home, the coordinator had already rearranged the pantry. Snacks sorted into labeled bins. Homework supplies stacked neatly in a drawer. "I took initiative," she said brightly. "It helps everyone." "I see," I said. She checked her watch. "I'll bring them back at 6. When the door closed behind her, the house felt different. Not quieter. More managed. I opened my laptop and found another email waiting. From HR. Subject: clarification representation at external functions. I didn't open it right away. Instead, I scrolled through the school portal. The conference notes from last week had been uploaded. Teacher comments. Action items. At the bottom of the page, under primary contact, my name appeared. No secondary listed. I refreshed the page. It stayed the same. At 6, the coordinator returned with the kids. She gave a brief report. Homework completed. Snack consumed. Behavior appropriate. She paused at the door. "Just a heads up," she said. "There may be a scheduling shift next week. I'll confirm with him." "With us," I said. She smiled quickly. "Of course." Asseverate. After she left, my oldest stood by the window. "She talks like she's in charge," he said. "She is," I said. "Of what?" "Time," I said. He accepted that. Later that evening, he called from his hotel. "They said the seating issue is resolved," he said. "That's good," I replied. "They apologized," he added, "for the confusion." "I'm sure," I said. There was a pause. "HR mentioned you've been getting some of the updates." "Yes," I said. "They shouldn't be bothering you with that." He said, "It's unnecessary stress." I waited. "I can have them streamline it," he said. "So you don't have to deal with it." "I already am," I said. He exhaled. "You know what I mean." I do, I said. After the call, I sat at the table with the lights off. The calendar glowed faintly on the counter. No notifications. The next morning, a new message appeared on the school app. Primary contact updated per request. No explanation. No signature. At drop-off, the secretary greeted me by name. All set, she said. We have you listed correctly now. Thank you, I said. She lowered her voice. There were a few conflicting entries before. I noticed, I said. She smiled, relieved that I wasn't asking for details. As I turned to leave, another parent approached the desk. I overheard the secretary say, "We'll just need the primary." The word landed differently now. At home, the courier arrived again. Another envelope. This one was thin. Inside was a single page. Confirmation of update. No letterhead. Just a table with check marks. School records. Updated. Medical authorization. Updated. Emergency contacts. Updated. At the bottom, a timestamp from that morning. No signature. I set the page beside the calendar. That afternoon, I drove past his office again. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. The building looked the same. At dinner, my oldest asked, "Is Dad still in charge of the school stuff?" "No," I said. He considered that. "Who is?" "I am," I said. He nodded once. Then he reached for the salt. Later, as I cleaned up, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "This is HR, just confirming receipt of the update. No action required." I didn't reply. That night, the calendar chimed softly. A reminder cleared itself. I watched the screen go dark. For the first time since this started, something had changed without being announced. No apology. No discussion. Just a quiet correction. And somewhere else, someone would notice the delay, the missing assumption, the way the system now paused before reaching for him. The ripple had moved outward. The benefits portal updated overnight. I didn't get a notification. I only noticed because the page loaded differently than it had before. Fewer tabs, cleaner layout, the kind of change meant to feel like an improvement. I clicked into household coverage. My name appeared first. No label beside it, no parentheses. Just my name, followed by an ID number I recognized as mine. Below it, his name appeared under Associated Adult. Smaller font. Same indentation I'd grown used to seeing next to my own. I refreshed the page once. Then again. It stayed the same. A note sat at the bottom of the screen. Effective date. Retroactive to prior cycle. I checked the timestamp. 2 weeks ago. I closed the browser without logging out. At breakfast, the kids argued about cereal. Normal volume. Normal complaints. The house sounded the way it always had, just before everyone left. "Dad picking us up today?" my youngest asked. "No," I said. "I am." He nodded. Satisfied. When I dropped them off, the secretary waved me through without looking up. "No changes today," she said. "Okay," I replied. On the drive home, my phone rang. His number. "Did you change something with benefits?" he asked. "I didn't," I said. A pause. "They're saying it was confirmed." "By who?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "HR," he said. "They said it came through automatically once the school and childcare records aligned." "That makes sense," I said. "It shouldn't," he replied. "I didn't authorize it." I waited. "They said it didn't require authorization," he continued. "Just consistency. Crossed as in." I looked out the window at a stoplight changing from red to green. "Are you upset?" he asked. "No," I said. He exhaled sharply. "This is getting complicated." "It's been complicated," I said. "It's just visible now." He didn't respond to that. At home, an envelope sat on the counter. I hadn't noticed it earlier. Plain. No logo. Inside was a benefits summary, printed, highlighted in yellow. A sticky note was attached. "For your records." No signature. I flipped through the pages. Coverage tiers, dependents, emergency authorizations. My name appeared on every page. His appeared on some. I put the papers back in the envelope and slid it into the drawer with the others. That afternoon, the child care coordinator texted, "Confirming pickup is canceled today. Parent requested change." "Which parent?" It didn't say. I replied, confirmed. A few minutes later, another message arrived. Just to clarify, all changes are now routed through you. I stared at the screen. Okay, I typed, then set the phone down. When he came home that evening, he didn't take off his coat right away. He stood in the doorway, phone still in his hand. HR says we need to meet, he said. When? I asked. Tomorrow, he said. Joint meeting. With who? I asked. Benefits, compliance. Someone from administration. I nodded. I'll be there. He looked surprised. You don't have to. I know, I said. He stepped into the kitchen and set his phone down harder than necessary. They're asking questions, he said, about dependents, about representation. They should, I said. He looked at me. This isn't what I wanted. I rinsed a glass and placed it in the rack. What did you want? He hesitated. Things to be simpler. I dried my hands. They are. He shook his head. You know what I mean. I do, I said. That night, I received a calendar invitation. Benefits and Records Alignment Meeting. Attendees listed in alphabetical order. My name appeared first. His appeared fourth. The meeting took place the next morning on a video call. I sat at the table with my laptop open. The calendar glowed softly beside me. He joined from his office. The background was familiar. Neutral art. A plant in the corner. 2 HR representatives joined next. Then someone from compliance. All voices calm. Even. Thank you both for joining, one of them said. We just want to confirm alignment across systems. They shared a screen. A chart appeared. Names, dates, status fields. As you can see, she continued, there were discrepancies between household, school, and childcare records. She clicked through pages. Once those were resolved, she said, the system updated benefits accordingly. Automatically, the compliance officer added. No single approval was required, the HR rep said. It's designed to prevent gaps. He leaned forward. So this can't be reversed? There was a pause. Not uncomfortable, just precise. It could, the HR rep said, if the underlying records change. And how would that happen? He asked. The compliance officer glanced at me briefly, then back to the screen. It would require consistent documentation across all institutions, she said. School, medical, childcare. I nodded. He sat back in his chair. Do you have any questions? The HR rep asked. No, I said. They looked at him. He shook his head slowly. No. Great, she said. Then we're aligned. And the call ended cleanly. No small talk. He didn't speak for a moment after the screen went dark. So, he said finally, this just happened. Yes, I said. You didn't initiate it, he said. No, I said. But you didn't stop it. I wasn't asked, I said. He laughed once. Quietly. Not amused. That's convenient, he said. It's procedural, I replied. He stood. I need air. He left the house without his phone. I sat at the table and closed my laptop. The calendar dimmed. That afternoon, the school sent a brief message. Records verified. No further action needed. The child care coordinator followed with her own update. All future changes require your approval. I didn't reply to either. When he came home, he was quieter. He moved through the house like he was visiting. At dinner, the kids talked about their day. He listened more than he spoke. My oldest looked between us once, then returned to his plate. After they went to bed, he stood in the doorway again. This wasn't a conversation, he said. No, I agreed. It feels like a decision, he said. It is, I said. By who? He asked. I thought about that for a moment. By the system, I said. He didn't argue. That night, the house settled into its usual sounds, pipes, floorboards, distant traffic. But something had shifted. Not loudly. Just enough that the next form, the next call, the next quiet assumption would land somewhere else first. The first thing he forgot was pickup. Not entirely, just the assumption of it. I was in the kitchen making soup when the school called. Not urgent, not concerned, just confirming dismissal, the secretary said. We have you listed. Yes, I said. No changes, she replied. Thank you. I hung up and went back to stirring. The spoon clicked softly against the pot. Steam fogged the window above the sink. At 3:12, my phone buzzed. "I'm running late. Can you handle today?" I looked at the message for a moment before replying. "Already did," I typed. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. "Okay," he wrote. "Thanks." At pickup, the parking lot was quieter than usual. A teacher waved us out without stopping us. No clipboard. No questions. My youngest climbed into the car and buckled himself. "Dad didn't come?" he asked. "No," I said. He nodded. "That happens now." I noted the way he said it. Like a conclusion, not a complaint. At home, I checked the calendar. A new event had appeared. Client dinner tentative. No name. No location. Just a block of time. That evening, he came home later than expected. He dropped his bag by the door instead of taking it upstairs. "They moved the meeting," he said. "I saw," I replied. He paused. "You did?" "The calendar," I said. "Oh," he said. He stood there for a moment, then picked up his bag again and went upstairs. Later, while I folded laundry, he came back down holding his phone. "They're asking for emergency contact confirmation," he said, "for the trip next week." "Who is?" I asked. "The travel office," he said. "They need to finalize the itinerary." I waited. "They're defaulting to you," he added. "I didn't set that." "That's fine," I said. He frowned. "It's not standard." "It is now," I said. He watched me fold a towel. I folded it the way I always had, corners aligned, no rush. "They sent it to you?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "And you confirmed?" "Yes," I said. He exhaled. "You should have told me. You saw the calendar," I said. He didn't respond to that. The next morning, the childcare coordinator texted again. "Confirming travel week adjustments. I'll coordinate directly with you." I replied with a thumbs-up emoji. It felt sufficient. At breakfast, my oldest asked, "Who do I give the field trip form to?" "Me," I said. He slid it across the table without comment. The form had 2 signature lines, one labeled Parent Guardian, one labeled Emergency Contact. I signed both. Later that day, I drove to the doctor's office for my own appointment. Routine, annual. At the front desk, the receptionist smiled. "We have you listed as primary," she said. "No changes?" "No," I replied. She nodded and handed me the clipboard. As I sat filling it out, I realized how quiet it was to be asked without explanation. That afternoon, he called while I was driving. "They rerouted the expense approvals," he said. "They're coming to you." "That makes sense," I said. "It doesn't," he replied. "They should come to me." "They used to," I said. He was silent for a moment. "I didn't ask for this," he said. "I didn't either," I replied. He sighed. "You're enjoying this." I pulled into the driveway before answering. "No," I said. "I'm managing it." That evening, an email arrived from HR. Subject: Travel emergency contact confirmed. I didn't forward it to him. At dinner, he checked his phone repeatedly. Notifications lighting up, then dimming. "Do you know where my passport is?" he asked suddenly. "Yes," I said. "Top drawer, left side." He paused. I looked there. "It's under the folder," I said. He went upstairs. A minute later, he came back down with it in his hand. "Found it," he said. I nodded. He hesitated near the table. "You've been organizing things." "Yes," I said. He sat down slowly. "I didn't realize how much you handled." I set my fork down. "You didn't need to." He looked at me. "I know what you mean," I said. He nodded, unsettled. The next day, the school sent a reminder about Picture Day, payment link included. I paid it. At pickup, the secretary thanked me by name. She didn't look past me toward the parking lot. That night, he came home earlier. He stood in the doorway again, like he was waiting for permission. "They changed my travel contact again," he said. "It's locked now." "Okay," I said. "I can't edit it," he said. "That's what they told me," I said. He laughed quietly. "They told you?" "Yes," I said. He rubbed his forehead. "This is inverted." "It's consistent," I said. He dropped his bag and sat down heavily. "I feel like I'm asking for access," he said. I watched him for a moment. "You are," I said. He looked up sharply. "To what?" "To the things you used to assume," I said. He didn't argue. The next morning, he left without saying goodbye. Not intentionally, just distracted. An hour later, my phone buzzed. "Can you send me the school calendar?" I attached the PDF and sent it. "Thanks," he replied. At noon, the school called again. This time, they asked if I'd received the permission slip for the next event. "Yes," I said. "No further action needed," the secretary replied. I hung up and sat for a moment, holding the phone. The shift wasn't dramatic. No announcements, no confrontations, just a series of small reroutes. At dinner that night, my youngest asked, "Are you the main one now?" "Yes," I said. He nodded. "Okay." He went back to eating. Across the table, he watched me. Not angry, not relieved, just attentive. Later, as I turned off the lights, I noticed the calendar had updated again. His travel block was still there, but the contact icon beside it had changed. It was mine. The calendar chimed softly, then went dark. He didn't comment on it. Neither did I. The assembly was scheduled for Friday afternoon. I knew because the school sent the notice to me directly, not through the shared app, not copied, just my email, addressed by name. Attendance requested. Seating reserved. No mention of him. I forwarded the message without comment. He didn't reply. The auditorium smelled like floor polish and warm air. Folding chairs filled the space in neat rows. Parents stood in clusters near the back, scanning for familiar faces. I arrived early and took a seat near the aisle. The program rested on each chair, names printed inside in small black text. My youngest spotted me first. He waved once, then lowered his hand quickly when a teacher glanced his way. I waved back anyway. A woman from the front office walked down the aisle with a clipboard tucked under her arm. She stopped beside me. "Thank you for coming," she said. "We'll begin shortly." She looked at the clipboard, then at me again. "We have you listed for recognition at the end," she added. "For what?" I asked. She smiled politely. "Volunteer coordination." "I didn't volunteer," I said. She hesitated. "Just long enough." "It reflects what's on file," she said. "We'll follow the list." "I know there, Dove." She moved on before I could say anything else. I checked my phone. No messages. The seats filled slowly. Parents whispered. Programs rustled. The hum of conversation settled into something lower as the lights dimmed. He arrived just as the principal stepped up to the microphone. He stood near the back for a moment, scanning the rows. When he saw me, he paused. Then he took the empty seat beside me. "You didn't tell me about this," he said quietly. "I forwarded it," I replied. He checked his phone. Frowned. I didn't see it. The principal began speaking. Announcements. Thank yous. Routine acknowledgments. Awards followed. Names called. Children walked up and down the steps, receiving certificates and shaking hands. Applause rose and fell in measured waves. Near the end, the principal adjusted her glasses and glanced down at her notes. "And finally," she said, "we'd like to recognize our parent coordinator for this semester. And I will today." There was a pause as she looked out at the audience. "Would you please come forward?" She read my name. The room went quiet. Not silent, just still. I didn't move right away. I looked at him. He looked back at me, confused. "They mean you," he said. I stood and stepped into the aisle. The sound followed me, chairs shifting, a few murmurs. No applause yet. On stage, the principal extended her hand. I shook it. "Thank you for everything you do," she said into the microphone. I nodded. She turned back to the audience. "We appreciate the time and consistency that keeps our programs running smoothly." The word consistency hung in the air. Applause started then, polite, scattered. I stepped back down and returned to my seat. He didn't clap. Around us, other parents glanced in our direction, then looked away. The woman with the clipboard watched from the side, her pen paused mid-air. The assembly ended shortly after. Chairs scraped against the floor. Conversations resumed, louder now, like people making up for the quiet. As parents stood to leave, the principal approached our row. "Thank you again," she said to me. Then she turned to him. "And thank you for attending," she added, with the same smile she used for everyone. No title. No clarification. He nodded, stiff. "Of course." She moved on. In the hallway, children ran past, voices echoing. Teachers directed traffic toward the exits. My oldest walked up beside us. "Mom," he said, "they said your name." "Yes," I said. He smiled briefly, then looked at his father. "Did you hear?" "Yes," he replied. We walked out together. Outside, the afternoon light felt too bright after the dim auditorium. Parents gathered near the steps, lingering. Someone called my name. A woman from the PTA committee approached. "We should talk next week," she said, "about next semester." "Okay," I replied. She nodded and moved on. He stood beside me, hands in his pockets. "They didn't ask me anything," he said. "They didn't need to," I said. We stood there for a moment longer than necessary. On the drive home, he was quiet. He didn't turn on the radio. At a stoplight, he spoke. "This is public now," he said. "It has been," I replied. "No," he said. "I mean, people see it." I watched the light change. "Yes, that wasn't the plan," he said. "I didn't plan it," I said. He exhaled slowly. "They're treating me like an add-on." I didn't respond. At home, the kids dropped their backpacks and went to their rooms, the house filled with familiar sounds, drawers opening, shoes kicked off. He stood in the kitchen, staring at the counter. "They didn't even check with me," he said. "They followed the records," I said. He looked up. "You keep saying that." "Because that's what happened," I said. He leaned against the counter. "I don't like how this feels." I rinsed my hands. "Neither did I." That landed. Not hard. Just enough. The calendar chimed softly from the counter. A reminder cleared itself. He glanced at the screen, then away. "Are you going to keep doing this?" he asked. "Doing what?" I asked. "Letting it happen," he said. I considered that. "I'm not stopping it," I said. He nodded slowly. That evening, an email arrived from the school. "Thank you for attending. Records confirmed. No action required." He watched me read it. "They didn't copy me," he said. "No," I replied. He stood there for a moment, then picked up his phone. "I should probably update my office," he said. "Yes," I said. He paused. "Will you?" "About what?" I asked. "That things are different," he said. I shook my head. "They already know." He didn't argue. Later, as the house settled, I placed the program from the assembly into the drawer with the other papers. It fit neatly between the forms and envelopes. No one spoke about it again that night. But the silence from the auditorium stayed with me. Not heavy, just complete. The morning after the assembly, the house returned to its usual rhythm. Cereal bowls on the counter, backpacks by the door, shoes mismatched but worn anyway. No one mentioned the auditorium. I packed lunches while the kids argued about who had used the last granola bar. Their voices rose, then settled. Ordinary sounds. He stood by the counter, scrolling through his phone. Not his work phone. The personal one he rarely used during the week. "I need to update a few things," he said. "Okay," I replied. He hesitated. "With my office?" "Yes," I said. He nodded, like that was permission enough. After drop-off, I stopped by the school office to return a library book that had been left in a locker. The secretary smiled when she saw me. "Good morning," she said. "All set?" "Yes," I replied. She took the book and slid it into a cart. "We've finalized the spring calendar. You'll get the link later today." "Thank you," I said. She glanced at her screen. "You're listed for everything." I nodded and stepped away. At home, the calendar chimed softly. A new notification appeared. Spring Planning Meeting Parent Coordinator. I didn't add it to the shared view. I didn't remove it either. Later that afternoon, an email arrived from the child care service. "Contract renewal prepared. Please review and confirm." I opened it. Same language as before, same structure. 2 signature lines. This time, mine was blank. I signed it and sent it back. When he came home, he set his bag down and looked around the kitchen like he was checking for something out of place. They responded. He said, "My office." "And?" I asked. "They updated my records," he said. "Emergency contact, travel approvals." I waited. "They asked if there were changes at home," he added. "And what did you say?" I asked. He paused. "I said the records were accurate." I nodded. He looked at me then. I didn't explain. You didn't need to, I said. That evening, we ate dinner together without talking about schedules. The kids told a long story about a substitute teacher who couldn't pronounce anyone's name correctly. He laughed once, quietly. After dinner, he reached for the dishes automatically, then stopped. I can do that, he said. I know, I replied. He washed them anyway. Later, as I folded laundry, he sat on the edge of the couch, scrolling through the school app. They moved the field trip contact, he said. It's you. Yes, I said. They didn't ask, he said. No, I replied. He looked up. Does that bother you? I shook my head. It used to. He absorbed that. The next day, a package arrived addressed to me. Inside were folders, branded, labeled for school coordination. I set them on the shelf by the door. That afternoon, the PTA committee emailed. Looking forward to working with you next semester. No copy to him. At pickup, the secretary handed me a flyer. Thought you'd want this, she said. What is it? I asked. Volunteer overview, she replied. You're the point person now. I took it and thanked her. At home, I placed the flyer in the drawer with the others. The drawer closed smoothly, no resistance. That evening, he sat at the table longer than usual after the kids went to bed. I don't know where I fit, he said. I considered that. You're still their father, I said. Yes, he replied, but not that. I didn't answer. The calendar chimed softly. A reminder cleared itself. He glanced at it, then away. The following week passed without incident. Forms came to me, calls came to me, questions came to me. He noticed. He stopped correcting it. One afternoon, he asked, "Do you want me to handle the conference next month?" I shook my head. "I've already confirmed." He nodded. "Okay." At dinner that night, my youngest asked, "Who do they call if I forget my lunch?" "Me," I said. He smiled. "Good." Across the table, he watched that exchange. Not angry, not relieved. Just quiet. On Friday, the school sent a final message before break. "Thank you for your support this term. No action required." I closed the email and turned off the laptop. That evening, he stood by the window, watching the streetlights come on. "I didn't realize how loud it was," he said. "What was?" I asked. "The way things worked before," he said. "I thought it was normal." "It was," I said, "for you." He nodded slowly. We didn't argue. We didn't resolve anything. Life continued. The kids packed their bags for a weekend trip. Shoes by the door, jackets hung neatly. He asked where the itinerary was. "On the counter," I said. He picked it up and scanned it. "Looks good." It did. As they left, the house grew quiet in the familiar way. Not empty, just paused. I stood in the kitchen and looked at the calendar one last time. The next few weeks were full. Meetings, pickups, ordinary markers. My name appeared where it needed to. No titles. No explanations. Just placement. When he came back inside, he didn't say anything. He set his phone down and sat at the table. Outside, a car passed slowly. Somewhere, someone was waiting to be called. Not here. The balance had shifted. Not dramatically, not loudly. The room had gone quiet, and life continued.